Perfectionism isn't high standards. It's procrastination. It's fear. And whether you're brand new or already established as an elopement photographer, it's probably costing you money, momentum, and growth. Maybe you're over editing galleries, avoiding blogging because SEO feels overwhelming, or staying quiet on social media because it's not just right. But here's the truth. Perfection doesn't get you booked. Visibility and connection do. So let's talk about how to break the cycle and move forward. Welcome to Stoked, the podcast that helps adventure elopement photographers hit six figures and beyond in their businesses without hustling on social media. I'm your host, Megan McPhail, a former burnt-out emergency veterinarian that quit my hard-earned career to become an elopement photographer. Now I'm living a life I absolutely love, full of travel, adventure, and financial abundance, and I am hell-bent on helping you do the same. Are you ready to start booking out your calendar with dream couples in breathtaking locations and feeling genuinely stoked about your elopement photography business, life, and bank account? Then let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's your host, Megan McPhail.
And your co-host, Todd Reedy.
And today's episode is all about perfectionism, and we have covered this topic before, probably like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while, so I wanted to revisit it because we just welcomed a bunch of new members into the Elopement Photographer Mastermind, and I have already noticed some folks struggling with some things because of their perfectionism. And it can be hard. It can be hard to get over it, especially when we've been kind of programmed since childhood to get A's, and there's only one right answer and one right way to do this. And perfectionism, especially for women, gets really ingrained into us. So we kind of got to deprogram ourselves because perfectionism does not lead to success. It actually kind of keeps you from progressing in your business and being successful. So I want you to not be perfect. I want you to be a B or C student and not an A student. So let's talk about what perfectionism really is. Perfectionism is often the fear of being seen, the fear of being judged, and the fear of failure, kind of dressed up to look like high standards. It's about control. It's really not about quality. It's about your own kind of like negative self-talk and doubt. And you think that being perfect is going to save you from that judgment, that failure, but it doesn't. It kind of keeps you spinning your wheels. So it feels like you're working really hard, but you're probably working really hard on the things that don't actually get you booked. And instead of publishing, you keep refining things. And instead of testing, you keep tweaking things. And it kind of prevents you from putting things out there so that you can kind of get data and feedback back to you.
So I didn't think that I had a big problem with this, maybe a little bit. But as you were listing all of those characteristics, I struggle with this big time, like in all aspects of my life. So self-recognition is probably the first step.
Yep. First step is always self-awareness. And I mean, I grew up getting like straight A's in school and like being quote unquote perfect. And I mean, I told you recently, Todd, how like I used to get up early to do my hair and makeup every day before vet school. And one day my straightener broke and I couldn't really do my hair. So I just didn't go to school that day. Because I was like a perfectionist about everything.
You've come a long way. I mean, I didn't know you then, but that seems like a ridiculous thing for Megan McPhail to ever have done.
Now I'm
or the like, Megan that I know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do my hair like ever now because it just doesn't seem worth it. But I'm a hot mess all the time now. I'm chaotic. I'm a B or C student. And that's how I think I've been successful in business, because I just throw myself out there, and because so much of business is also getting feedback from what you do. So if you are a perfectionist, it just kind of kills your business. And one of the things that it does is it keeps you basically invisible, because you're not putting yourself out there. You're not publishing blogs. You're not doing SEO. You're not doing Google ads. You're, maybe posting on social media, but everything feels not right. And maybe you haven't like updated your website with your new photos or whatever it is. It just keeps you invisible, and nobody can book you if they don't know you exist. And people who are trying to be perfect oftentimes aren't showing up the way that they need to be. So I think this is a great conversation because I'm coming from a viewpoint as a reformed perfectionist that now is a B or C student in my life, and Todd is still currently a perfectionist.
That is 100% true. And I should say, like, as you're, again, speaking about this, we all think that everyone else is like watching us and like paying as close of attention to what we post or what we do. But the fact of the matter is they're not. They're engrossed in their own life. Like, even if whatever your posts are, your blog, whatever it is, even if it is perfect, it may not be seen ever by the people that you think are seeing it or the people that you think are obsessing about your work. They're just not. Like, they're just in their own little world. And I can say that kind of firsthand on our side. Like, Megan throws so much spaghetti at the wall. More often than not, she crushes it. But like, yeah, she'll do something or like try to introduce something and it doesn't work out all the time. Like, there are flops. And whether anyone sees those, they may not. And like, we know it because we're on the back end of our business. And that could be the exact same thing for you. Like, you may publish a blog and like you get zero traffic from it, or you post something on social media and you get like, the 2 likes from your mom and dad. Nobody really cares.
And you need to get your reps in with that stuff. You weren't born perfect at blog posts and social media and website copy.
Yeah, and like, think of anything else that you've like done growing up. If you're a good cook now, like, you didn't start off that way. Or even with your photography, like, you weren't perfect to begin with. So like, you had to put in the reps and build the confidence, build the skills. And you do that by doing things over and over again and refining and getting better each time. And so we have to have a lot of failures before we have big wins or even little wins.
Yeah, how many loaves of sourdough bread did you have to bake before it was like perfect, right? You have to do the actions and get the feedback to improve. You can't just come out the gate perfect at things. And I think that's what really makes people uncomfortable and like keeps them from doing it. Another thing why perfectionism is killing your business is because it just wastes hours of your life on things that don't actually increase your revenue or your money or your bookings. So when you're a perfectionist, you might, have all these unpublished blog posts. You might spend hours on a reel. If you listened back to my podcast episode with Cheryl Ann, she once spent 8 hours on a reel, and it flopped. So trying to make things perfect or to get things from B or C grade work to A work that you're happy with just takes hours and hours and hours of your time. This is time that you can spend resting, marketing, planning your elopements, location scouting. Like, you could do a million other things instead of over editing galleries or spending hours scrolling on Instagram to try to get the right inspiration for a post or something.
For that trending audio.
Yeah, that trending audio, so you can do it perfectly. Like, it makes everything longer. It's like, those are all things that don't get you bookings. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to, if you're going to post on Instagram, spend 10 minutes doing it, publish those blog posts, stop over editing galleries because your couples are not going to tell the difference between your B or C grade work versus your A plus perfect work. So you've got to see where you're wasting time and where your perfectionism is the source of that wasted time.
Yeah, so I've probably said this quote before, and I'm a big quote person, so I'm going to read it to you. And I didn't know who it was. I had to actually look it up who said it. So this is from Reid Hoffman, who you probably have never heard of, but he's the co-founder of LinkedIn. Maybe you heard of that one. But this quote is, if you are not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
We want our art or whatever we produce to be perfect. We just want it to be because we care.
And we have good taste, too. That's the
true.
Problem as well. We have good taste, so we recognize some of our stuff as like not meeting our standards or something.
Yeah, and as you had said, Megan, we do need to put stuff out there because we need to get feedback, especially like in business, right? Because things are changing pretty quickly, and we do need to like keep up and like get that feedback so then we can pivot or change or like just get better. So that's why I like that quote. I mean, when you're building anything or starting new, your following or like the audience that will see that is relatively small. So like, obviously we like see our idols and how perfect their photos are, how perfect whatever their craft is, and like we think that we can jump right in and like be that good, but there's no way you're going to do that. And two, like, you don't have that many eyes on you when you're even like, years in a business. We know very successful people like from the mastermind that are making 6 figures that have, like 2 or 3,000 Instagram followers. So
Yeah.
like their audience isn't huge. They just need their, 15 to 20 couples to book them. And so again, when you're starting out, there's just not that many eyes and people don't care as much as we think that they do.
Yeah, nobody's watching that closely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you were talking about earlier about how I've done tons of flops and like people don't know that I've flopped so much stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they see me showing up and they just assume my success, even though I've done plenty of stuff that hasn't turned out the way I wanted it to. But at least I learned a lot from that. Hey, real quick, if you're loving this episode and you're an elopement photographer or dreaming of becoming one, you need to know about ElopementCon 2025. It's a 4-day virtual summit happening May 5th through the 8th, and it's packed with trainings from 23 different elopement photographers, all sharing what's actually working in their businesses right now. We're talking posing, pricing, planning, systems, SEO, Pinterest, inclusivity, mindset, all the things that go into building a business that feels aligned and sustainable. Tickets are just $9, and that gets you 24-hour access to each day's lineup. Or you can upgrade to the 12-month access pass for $47 and rewatch the videos whenever you need them throughout the year. Head to the show notes to grab your ticket, and I'll see you inside ElopementCon. Another way that perfectionism is killing your business is you're avoiding connection. Especially as elopement photographers, connection is so important. And this is what I hear all the time from people who want to pivot into elopement photography from some other niche, is that they're like, man, I really just want to have more connection with my couples. I don't want to just be a vendor and have just like client vendor relationship and just like sign a contract and show up and photograph. Like I want a friendship and a connection. And guess what? If you're trying to be perfect, that's really hard to connect with. Like if you are trying to curate everything and show up perfectly or not show up because things aren't perfect, you're really making it hard to allow people to connect with you, because what we connect with is the imperfections and the quirks, right? Me and Todd, we love each other because we are stone cold weirdos.
I was going to say freaking weirdos.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We are freaking weirdos. And that's the weird parts about us are what we love the most. And the weird parts of like the elopement photographers that I consider my friends are what I love the most. I love to see the messy, the real relatable content. I think that when people try to be perfect on social media, it's really about being afraid to be seen. And if you're afraid to be seen and to show up as yourself on social media or on your website, and you want to hide behind very curated posts and photos, you're not going to find couples connecting with you. And I know I talk all the time about social media and how I don't want you to hustle on there, and I don't. But it is a place where people can authentically connect with you after they've found you on Google and gone through your website and stuff like that. They'll go over to Instagram or even TikTok and try to get a better idea of who you are and if they could be friends with you and hang out with you all day for the most important day of their life. And if you're hiding behind perfection, you are also pushing people away. So don't do that. Easier said than done. I know, like, I show my face all the time and I don't care. Like, I do put a filter on because my skin's always a mess. But, like, I show up all the time on social media. It's really not scary to me anymore. But there was a time where it was. But I put my reps in. And now every time I show my face on social media is when I get a lot of positive feedback and comments and discussions with people, lots of DMs and stuff. And like, that's how people connect with me. And a lot of people who are perfectionists avoid connection, and that's also screwing up your bookings.
Yeah, and so that actually makes me think of, so I don't watch a lot of YouTube anymore. There for a while, I watched a ton of YouTube. But nevertheless, recently I came across, it was a video from Peter McKinnon. And so he's like a big, photographer and a big YouTuber, right? So he has a huge, huge following. And he was talking about kind of this perfectionism and how, we used to be like so obsessed with how our grid looked, right? That it had like the right ordering and the right colors and the mood and everything was like nice and like curated, like you said. Then he was saying like, one, that's like kind of takes some of the creativity out of it if you're trying to make everything so perfectly curated and like put together. But like social media is just that to be like social, right? So he was talking about like how he's not going to get hired from someone looking at a photo that he took on Instagram, right? But people will go to Instagram to see like what he's up to, like on any given day. And like that's what people want to vibe with. If someone's going to book you, they're going to look at your website, right, to see all your pictures. You're probably going to send them some galleries, whatever it may be. So like having some photos is important, but like that's probably not where they're going to be like scouring your perfect images.
Yeah, it's a combo of the images and your personality, and then also your knowledge about elopements.
Yeah,
You know?
so like having those second two things, the personality and the knowledge, like you have to include those two in addition to the bangers and like, the most epic couple and all the things that you really want to show. But our clients want to see other stuff from us.
And that's good because that's also what the photographers want who want to be elopement photographers. But then the perfectionism takes hold and you kind of make it so that it's hard to connect with you. And you will see issues with bookings if you do that. Another way that perfectionism is killing your business is you're robbing yourself of data by all this procrastination. And nothing in your business improves without feedback, which means putting things out into the world and getting feedback on them. And perfectionism delays data collection because you're not putting anything out into the world, or you're putting it out there very slowly. So you don't really know what works. You think that you can just sit in your bubble and think about the perfect thing that will work. And then when you finally put it out in the world, it'll be 100% successful. But that's not how any of this works. You kind of have to put yourself out there and then learn from that. And so I'm like the queen of data. I say all the time that like we troubleshoot our businesses based on data, not on feelings. And perfectionists don't really have much data to troubleshoot because they aren't putting enough out there to really get the feedback on what's working and what's not. So yeah, perfectionism gives you this illusion of progress because behind the scenes, you probably are working really hard. You're editing galleries. You probably have lots of ideas. You have started a lot of things, but real progress comes from action and then iteration, like doing it a lot and then getting feedback from the things that you're doing. You just can't accomplish that if you're trying to sit in your office and make everything perfect before you put it out into the world. You have to just put 100 things out into the world and like see the response to them. And then the last thing is really what it comes down to is why perfectionism is killing your business is because you're delaying income, because you're not doing all the things that you need to be doing. You're working really hard, but you're not doing the things that actually make you money. So I see this all the time where people tell me like they're working so hard. Why aren't they booking things and why aren't they getting more inquiries and all that kind of stuff? And like really perfectionism is almost like you're self-sabotaging yourself. And when we get really deep into it, people want more inquiries and bookings, but then they're also afraid to get more inquiries and bookings.
Man, I'm really bad at that too. Being busy and like working hard, but maybe not always on the best thing or the right thing.
Yeah. And just because you're busy working does not mean the business gods are going to reward you with money. It's not like a 9-to-5 job where you just clock in and clock out. No matter what busy work you're doing, you get a paycheck. Entrepreneurship is different. And when you're a perfectionist, what happens is everything takes infinitely longer and you're working your butt off. You are feeling very uncomfortable, but like a lot of the work that you're doing is just not income generating work. And the income generating work comes from the things that you're afraid to do as a perfectionist. So what I want you guys to focus on instead is progress over perfection. You've probably heard done is better than perfect. And I also say like B or C grade work is what you should be shooting for. You should not be shooting for A's because that will just keep you kind of stagnant and spinning your wheels. Visibility is way more important than hiding behind drafts of things that you don't publish, whether that's blog posts, new websites, social media posts, whatever it is. And then connection is better than curation. And think about like, is your perfectionism actually keeping people at arm's length instead of welcoming them into your world and allowing them to connect with you? So again, I want you to show up as a B or C grade student. I want you to allow people to connect with you because that's what you want as an elopement photographer and that's what couples want. And I want you to give yourself permission to be a little bit of a hot mess because that's what's going to move your business forward. Do you have any last comments to say as a struggling perfectionist, Todd?
Probably just realizing that I'm still struggling with it. I thought I was over it, but man, it's like in every aspect of my life.
Yeah, we're building a chicken coop right now, and Todd's real sad with some of the angles not being like perfect, and I'm like, it's a chicken coop. It's fine.
I've also stood out there for way too long thinking about what to do, and then I thought of Megan, who's always saying action brings clarity. So at some point, you can't think your way out of a paper bag, and you can't think your way into a chicken coop. So I just had to, start, screwing stuff together, and it's not perfect, but will it hold our chickens in? It will.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Love it. Cool. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, can I ask a favor of you? Will you please head to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review? We haven't gotten any reviews in a while, but we also haven't been asking you guys for reviews. So if you have the time, please drop us a review. And once we get a bunch of new reviews, we'll be doing a drawing and a lucky reviewer will get a free gift card from us. So definitely leave that review and we will see you next week. Thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of Stoked. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend. If you're looking for more inspiring elopement photography content, check us out on Instagram at Megan McPhail. And if you'd like to hear more about my business coaching and how I can personally help you hit six figures as an elopement photographer, then check out my website at www.meganmcphail.com.